The reason why you and many others, like how even I used to feel this way, why I had this subconscious hatred of myself and of my heritage, of my people, of my bloodline, of where I came from, is we're taught to hate our own skin. We're taught to be outsiders in our own bodies. I'll be talking about something that I like to call gentrification of the mind, as well as how, partly from one of Malcolm X's speeches about the roots of a tree. Firstly, the Western beauty standards, while they may be more accepted and seen as better, that does not mean they're actually better. An Aryan person could be seen as better socially, but that does not mean that they are better. Just because we see it this way doesn't mean it can't change, or that we shouldn't try to change it. Just because that's what we were born into doesn't mean that we can't fight to change it. Doesn't mean we can't fight and stand up against it so that it doesn't repeat. So we don't have to be judged from an intrinsic thing that doesn't really matter at the end of the day, and that we can't change. I've noticed a lot of self-improvement, like people who say they're like black pilled or whatever. They just gave up. They're saying, oh, because the system says if you're white, you're better. Yes, that's what it's been saying for hundreds of years, but we have to change it. It is starting to change. We're starting to change it. And we can let's put more pressure on it. Put even more pressure on it so that the glass ceiling can break. And so we can all actually be seen as individuals. So we can all actually be seen as people. If you're white with blonde hair and blue eyes, you might be seen as more attractive in the West, in the East. That does not mean you're better. Just because someone thinks something does not make it fact. Even if that's what many people think. Many people used to think the earth was flat. That doesn't mean it's flat. Just because many people thought or do think that if you're gay, you're now mentally ill, doesn't mean that it's the truth. Doesn't mean that it's a fact. And think about why. Why is it like this? Why is we taught that white people are better? It's because that's who created the system. It was by white people. As well, not just that. It almost allows them to keep their own kind, you could say, in power, but also keeps us down. Because you can't hate the roots of a tree and not end up hating the tree. You can't hate your origins and not end up hating yourself. If you hate where you came from, if you hate your culture, if you hate your homeland, you're going to hate yourself subconsciously. You're going to have a disconnection from who you really are. That's why I've decided to no longer hate my upbringing, because that is still me. It doesn't matter how painful or difficult it was. It is still me. This is why they only talk about Africa and Mexico in the negative light. The jungles, savages, cannibals, hunger, poverty, or Mexico, drugs, cartels, murders, the most animalistic beatings and killings possible, because that's what they want us to associate with ourselves. It makes it so much easier to have us hate ourselves. If you hate yourself, you're not going to resist, you're not going to fight back. Because if we knew where we were really from, what we really did, there's no way in hell we'd let this stand. Think about what Mexican people did in the realm of mathematics. Like, think about what the Aztecs and Mayans did. Or in Africa. How many Africans have invented such incredible things? One that I found very interesting is on Instagram, where the name is African Archives. I'll try to put a link in the description. They're amazing. I'm not black, but I can still associate with their struggles. And I have first-hand experience with this. I was taught to hate my own color. I was taught to hate my own homeland. I was taught to hide it. I was told to not let people know I'm Mexican. I was told, don't let them know you're Mexican. Because they might not like you. Because politically, they might try and do things to you. And I listened. And it made me hate myself. I was taught that all of my Mexican family were lesser, were stupid, were bad people. And it made me not want to be a Mexican man, let alone be called a Mexican. It made me hate the color of my skin, the shape of my nose, my hair, my eyebrows, every bit of me. It made me hate myself. And that's what they do to not just Mexican people, but black people too, to hate the shape of your nose, your lips, your eyes. It's what they do to all of us people of color. They try and make us hate ourselves so we associate with them. So that we can't unify racially. We can't get solidarity. If you can't get even solidarity among people like you, you're not going to get solidarity with people not like you. It makes solidarity almost impossible. Because we're all just so self-conscious about our own selves. It only make us almost associate with. It'd make us gentrify our own minds. It'd strip us of our racial pride. It'd strip us of who we really are. They try to convince us that the African man and the Mexican man is more American than he is African or Mexican. But that's not true. In the subconscious, he is still more like that of his homeland than he is of American. Just because we were in the country doesn't mean we're Americans. 10 men can be sitting at a dinner table. And if I or another person of color went in, I'm not eating with them. Just because I'm sitting there, I don't got a plate. Just because I'm here doesn't mean I'm enjoying the fruits of it. Enjoy the thistles. Well, it has gotten better since the 60s when Malcolm said these things. His words still stand true. We need to tear down these barriers. We need to tear down this self-hatred, this self-destruction. And really recognize and see just how beautiful our homelands are. Just see how beautiful where we came from is. See how beautiful the Middle East is. Asia is. Africa is. Latin America, South America. Everywhere. We need to see the beauty of the whole world. We can't let this gentrification of the mind persist. Because what is gentrification? It's when usually talking about homes, like neighborhoods. There'd be people of color there, and then white people slowly start to pull in. Up the rent prices. Get rid of the local shops. Add like a Starbucks. Until all the people of color are out. That's why I say it's gentrification of the mind. You start as a person of color. You start as a black man, as a brown man. And then you slowly have it all stripped away from you. You want to hide the fact that you're Mexican. You want to shield yourself from the sun so you don't become darker. You want to iron your hair to make it flat. You want to dress the same, speak the same, eat the same, everything the same. Because they made you hate yourself. They made me hate myself. But I'm past that. I now know that there's nothing to hate about my heritage. My heritage was beautiful. It is beautiful. And we need to recognize that where we came from is beautiful and is deserving of merit. Now, just because it's shown to be bad in popular media doesn't mean it is. We all know just how coercive, how misleading the media is, news outlets, all of that. We know how bad it is. So what makes this any different? That's also why we need to learn our history. We can see what we did to further agriculture and mathematics and all of that. So we can see the inventive things we created. The beautiful pieces of art. The beauty in our heritage.